How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Cubold Gaming. We do a lot of free game lists on this channel, but for people who own a Mac, a lot of the games on the lists are not supported on their platform. As a channel, we want to try and help every gamer that's out there, and to do that, we need to cover a lot of different games. We try to cover games that not a lot of people know about, and that are very underrated. All the games on this list can be played on Mac, so if you do have a Mac, here are 9 games that are free on Steam, and you can play on pretty much any OS you want. The first game on this list is Robocraft. If you don't know what this game is, it is a vehicular combat simulator. The best part of this game is the fact that you could build your own vehicles and use them to fight against other vehicles. It's pretty simple. You build with all sorts of blocks, and you can make whatever vehicle you want to. You can make vehicles that hover, or ones that use wheels or treads. It is actually a pretty cool game if you enjoy building your own vehicles. The best part is that you don't need a quote-unquote beast PC to play it. There are also a ton of maps to fight on. You can play a ton of different game modes as well, so you can always play something different. We think that this is a very underrated game, and it is definitely worth checking out on Mac or Windows, whichever you choose.
I'm pretty sure we've all had our fair share of battle royales. Some people hate them and some people love them. Now, as for our channel, it's kind of mixed feelings about them, but one thing that we've tried to do is stay away from larger known titles. That's why you wouldn't really see things like Fortnite, Apex, or Warzone in our videos, just because those are such big free titles that most people would already know about them. Now, as for Super Animal Royale, I've actually never heard of this game until doing research for this video, and I've seen a lot of games in the past year. I think it's safe to say that a lot of you probably haven't heard of it either. Super Animal Royale is a battle royale of up to 64 players and is set in a top-down 2D style of gameplay. The style of game is really what makes it different, considering there are a variety of animals fighting to the death. The map is pretty huge with a lot of different areas, and there are almost endless types of animals and breeds you can play as. Also, the game is currently sitting at an overwhelmingly positive status on Steam, so don't just take my word for it. It did come out a few years ago, but the game has a dedicated and steady player base. Its all-time peak was at around 3,000 players, and as for when this video was made, the peak in the last 24 hours was 1,000 players. So there's a player base out there that knows about the game and seems to be dedicated to keep coming back to play it. And you can play this not only on PC, but on Mac as well, and it's another game that's not demanding to run either. I really recommend giving it a try.
Clawface is a twin-stick shooter with an 80s aesthetic, where you play as a robot who fights aliens. The entire game is simplistic, but the gameplay is hard enough that it'll take you a few tries to catch on. It's like a lot of other twin-stick shooters, but it's completely free and available on Mac. For whatever reason, the cute little robot has a massive claw on its face that you can use to eat the aliens, hence the name of the game. The point of the game is to defeat aliens using a large variety of sci-fi weapons, and then eat them for health. Eating enemies is actually pretty crucial to surviving, since it's extremely easy to lose health. The key to progressing to the next levels is dodging the enemy bullets while eating as many enemies as possible. Whenever you get to a new level, the soundtrack progresses to be more hectic and lively, making each new level seem more intense than the last. It's not a game that you'll play for hours at a time, but it's good to play when you're bored or just have a few minutes to kill.
Hunter Dungeon is one of those games that if you need to type it into the search bar, it might be a little difficult for you to find. This game is a 1 to 6 player round-based pixel fighting game. There are 12 total characters to choose that have different weapons, and you can fight either offline or online against your friends. Another game mode besides Deathmatch is called Dragon Mode. This is a wave-based PvE mode that you can compete in as well. You can also mix and match different weapon types mid-game to make your weapons more powerful. You can also play Dragon Mode with up to 4 players for an even greater challenge. If you enjoy top-down games, you might really enjoy this one.
If you've ever played Geometry Dash, or if you enjoy time-based platforming games, then I think Neon Beats is something you'll probably enjoy too. The actions you make affect the music a little more than something like Geometry Dash, but I think it separates itself from other games in that way. The movement in Neon Beats is also a little more fluid, and it gives you a little more freedom with how you time stuff and move around. And the overall look is something I personally love. I'm usually drawn to retro-looking games like this one, so the colors and graphics are welcome in my book. Keep in mind that the game isn't too long. It's actually only about 4 levels in total, but you obviously need to try multiple times to complete those, and may go back to beat your previous score. They also offer a bunch of additional DLCs, which I've actually seen a lot of people end up doing because they like the feel of the base game so much. Honestly, this is something I'd recommend installing because if you're like me and you have a MacBook for on the road, it's something you can easily play to pass some time.
Raidland is a class-based PvP game where you play as medieval-style characters. The purpose of the game is to compete against your opponents for the most gold. While it seems like a fairly simple premise, each class has an advanced skill tree that you level up the more you play. The graphic style is also simplistic, but the gameplay is surprisingly smooth. There aren't many free PvP games that feel super polished, but Raidland's actually feels decent. The one issue I had with it is that the classes don't seem very well balanced. It's not difficult to snipe enemies all the way across the map using a bow, and the only real counter to it is using the class with the shield. The class with the battle axe doesn't seem to have much going for it, and it can be easily destroyed by the other two classes. I was reading in a lot of Steam reviews that people think the classes were very well balanced, but in my shorter playtime I personally didn't see it. I usually opted to play as the shield class, which allows you to block a ton of enemy damage if you use it properly. Random treasure chests spawn around the map, along with NPC treasure guardians protecting the loot. Once you take out the guardians, you need to avoid other players and take the gold for your team. It's a different style of game mode than most PvP games, and I really enjoyed it. Overall, it's a good online game for Mac, and if you play with friends, it can be even more enjoyable.
Soda Dungeon 2 is a dungeon crawler that has a lot of RPG elements. You basically start with nothing and slowly upgrade your roster and home base. As you upgrade your base, more and more people come to it, and you can hire them for your next mission. The art style of this game is actually really cool, and it makes for a great visual experience. There is also an AFK mode to let you collect materials while you are offline, away from your computer. One of the main things that the developers say is that they don't have any in-game purchases, so you can earn everything in the game for yourself. I would say if developers purposely don't put any pay-to-win options in, it just makes the game a million times better. Side quests are another way to earn items and gold in-game, so there's actually a lot to this game. It is a very enjoyable if you enjoy turn-based RPG combat.
If you've been around our channel for a bit, then I'm sure you've heard us talk about Unturned. It's essentially a blend of Rust and DayZ all wrapped up in a Roblox-looking style. The game has a crazy amount of servers with a dedicated community and allows you to play with your friends and work together to build communities or raid other communities. There are countless maps in the game and all types of modded servers. I mean, seriously, this game has so much content it would take me so long to cover it all. All of your survival elements are implemented in the game, and you have the choice of playing either a vanilla or modded server. The building is satisfying, and there are tons of different weapons to choose from. Again, we've talked about this game a lot on this channel, and it really deserves a lot of credit for how good it is. It runs pretty solid on Mac, and it's a title we really recommend.
I'm really crossing my fingers hoping YouTube doesn't demonetize us for this one, but I had so much fun with it that I really wanted to add it to the list. Also, I wanted to give a quick thank you to Lil Santos for suggesting this game in the comments. I actually had already chosen Gladio and Glory for this list, and I noticed his comment as I was working on the video. Gladio and Glory is a violent, arena-based fighting game with some ridiculous and hilarious physics. It kinda reminds me of the VR game Gorn, but with an above view of the character. The main goal of the game is to defeat all your opponents in an arena using a variety of weapons and environmental hazards. When you defeat an opponent, they'll lose their limbs and turn into a ragdoll, creating lots of carnage in the arena. You can grab them and throw them into spikes, throw weapons at them, or use arrow turrets or cannons to defeat them. I love using the flail because it'll make them ragdoll all over the map. There are several different game modes such as Endless, Sandbox, and the main arena mode. The game also includes a multiplayer mode, and I bet this game will be even better with a few friends. It's also a great game to play when you have a few minutes to spare and just want to mess around with some wonky physics. Games with ridiculous physics always make for a fun time, so I bet you'll have a lot of fun destroying your enemies in this amazingly chaotic arena. Obviously, mechs aren't made for gaming, but there's actually a decent selection of games available for free. What do you think of the games we found for this list? If you have any other suggestions, be sure to let us know in the comments. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to Cubold Gaming for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next video.